I was born in Gulfport, Gulfport, Mississippi, uh, December 12th, 1930. Oh, yes. Well, we all had uh, black schools only. Black, we weren't integrated, when I was going to school. The, we, the white kids had their school and we had our school. And not on the street I lived, but Mississippi in general was segregated. A neighborhood was segregated. But the street that I was born, where I was born, it was black and white. But it wasn't all over Mississippi, just that one street was. Well, I tell you what, my mom and dad worked for a very rich family, and we lived in on premises. Uh, there were four of us, four kids, and we lived in the house with them. My mother was the nanny and the housekeeper, and my dad was the chauffeur. Oh, yes, there were three kids in the home with us, three white kids. My mother took care of them. Their dad was a businessman, and he traveled a lot. And my mom stayed home, took care of all of us. It was four of us and three of them, and we grew up in the same house. But we didn't go to school with them, but we interacted all our, you know, young life, young kids. Well, I just read about them. I just remember one man was oh, I can't think. Yeah, he was executed. He was doing something simple, and that was the only one that I remember in my lifetime. The one that was one incident, but it was happening over Mississippi. But as a young person, rather little kids, 6, 7, 8 years old, I wasn't aware of how bad it was because we interact with white kids every day. Every day, my mother worked for them for years and years. It was very smooth there. It went along because all the black schools were demolished in my hometown, Gulfport, and they were in 1968 when they were fully integrated. The public schools were, but Catholic schools, it was different because they had all white teachers that were none, but in the public schools they didn't have white teachers until they integrated. That's when you got, when the public schools were integrated, then that's when they had white teachers. Hey, I know what year it was. Oh, that was in 68. Absolutely. Absolutely. You see, we were educated well where we lived because our teachers were black and we were in a one room classroom, like the second in elementary school, we had 3 classes in one room, and the teacher sit in the middle of the room, and she'll call first grade this and second grade reading. It just went on all day long, and the hours were long, from 7:30 to 3:30, half an hour for lunch. Very strict. Well, down south, in my little hometown, you had to work hard in school. If you didn't, that's why a lot of kids quit, because they gave you a lot of work, a lot of work to do, and you didn't spend all your time, just being idle, not doing nothing. All black teachers was very, very hard on you as far as your classes, as far as being on time. You just couldn't be in the classroom and do nothing. You had to work. That was the best thing of going to school down south. And when I got to California, it was different. You could just lay around and do a little or nothing. And nobody forced you to do anything. But you see, the parents didn't interfere with the teachers down south. You know, a lot of time parents get upset when the teacher holler and scream at them, and they'll spank you too. Well, I tell you, the hardest part about living down south when they were trying to keep blacks from voting, and sometimes people will be jumped on or people hurt, but I can't speak for the state of Mississippi is such a big state. But in the Delta, life was different. Black kids couldn't go to school 9 months out of a year because they were sharecroppers. And they had to keep up with that little farm so they could survive. So they didn't lived on the coast. It was demanded that we go to school from September until May. 9 months. 9 months. It was mandatory when I started school because we lived on the coast and the main industry was fish because it was right on the water. And there's a Navy base and Army base close by. There was a lot of difference in going to school years ago down south than in California. Because California, it had so many different nationalities. So that was the only thing that a lot of them spoke their own language when they wanted to, but it was demanded here that they speak English. But everything was segregated down south. We had our own black business. We had our own black doctors and pharmacists. We had our own restaurant, all business, cleaners, stores. It was just a black neighborhood with everything black. Our own taxi company, all that was black. But when they integrated in '60, a lot of our black teachers lost their jobs because they couldn't go and teach at a white school. But they finally did. They finally did when they fully integrated, and that was maybe about 68 to 69. Then black teachers were hired. A lot of them had to go back to college to get more credentials. A lot. I have cousins now that they're all business, but everything now, where I live, is totally integrated. everything, the um, restaurants, all the public places, everywhere you go, it's integrated. But now that's the part of Mississippi I was in. Well, I can't speak for others. There's a lot of difference uh, in, uh, in other places in the Mississippi Delta. But let me tell you one thing: black folks down south love educating. Every cousin that I have has graduated from either Spelman, Morehouse, Jackson State, Texas A&M, and what is the one is in New Hampshire, uh, Ohio, Wilberforce. Yeah. Oh, they all a lot of college, a lot of educated people are down south. And my sister was in a special class because she was a an A student from the time she was ninth grade until she graduated. She graduated in 1952 at black schools. Black folks love to be educated where I live. I can't speak for the rest of black folks because it was hard for the parents to take care of their children. You know, financially the way they wanted. You know, boys like my brother, 17 years old, he joined the I Navy. Loved my little community where I lived because I had everything that I needed there. We had great schools. We had great teachers because they demanded that you work. You couldn't just come and sit down, and you just couldn't leave out of the classroom when you wanted to. You had to get permission. I don't care what grade you were. So it was. I loved down south going to school because you had to work. But when I got to California, it made me lazy. I picked my own subjects, what I wanted to take, but down south it was demanded what you take.